Hey guys, it's Dante Ferrigno at Ferrigno Freedom Channel coming back to you again. I am breaking a 72-hour fast. And one of the things that I had a hard time finding on YouTube is a lot of videos talking about breaking a fast if you're a carnivore. There's a lot of videos out there for breaking a fast in general, but when you're a carnivore, it can be quite different. Now, this particular fast was only a 72-hour fast. So it's not the type of fast that's going to be conducive to needing to be worried about refeeding syndrome coming in. Typically, refeeding syndrome is something you have to worry more about if you're breaking a 10-day or even a 5-day fast. But a 3-day fast is basically just enough to shock the system a little bit, to get you back into ketosis and to do the things that you want to be able to do. I noticed immediately, as a matter of fact, I was wearing this ring all day and I had to put it on my other finger because since yesterday it's been too loose on this finger, because you tend to lose a lot of the electrolytes that are in your cells. Your body starts to take up those electrolytes when you're fasting. And even though I did use some electrolytes while I was fasting,
first down, goal to go, number one.
I didn't use them every time. Like I used to use salt in my water all the time. And lately I found that I do fine without having salt in my water all the time. As a matter of fact, I hardly ever add salt to my water. I do occasionally though, at least once or twice a day for like say an 8 or a 12 ounce, more like a 12 ounce drink. And that way I'm getting a little bit of electrolytes that I still need, but I don't need them as bad as I used to. And that's a very interesting thing that I've noticed since I've been doing carnivore now for close to 3 years. And I've been doing a type of carnivore diet that is specifically lion diet. I only eat ruminant meat, water, and salt. So I also don't really have any insulin resistance issues to really be concerned about. Although over the past year, I put on a few pounds. I got down to 176 pounds, the lowest I had ever been probably since I was about 12 years old. I have no idea when I was that weight before, because the lowest I had ever been before was 189 pounds when I was on the high school wrestling team back in my senior year when I was 17 years old. So I don't have any record before that. And I was 210 pounds before I got down to 189, so I could wrestle in a lower weight class. I didn't have to wrestle heavyweight and wrestle guys that were 275 pounds when I was only 210. There's a couple of things you should be aware of when you're breaking a fast. And as a carnivore, you shouldn't have to be worried about taking in a bunch of carbohydrates when you break your fast. So that's something that's not a concern for me at all. As a matter of fact, even though I'm not really worried about refeeding syndrome, I'm going to use one of my favorite things to break a fast with, and that's carnivore crisps. They're not real high in fat. They do have some saturated fat, but since I'm only going to be eating a couple of ounces to kick off the breaking of my fast, then it's not really going to make too much of a difference. It shouldn't anyway. But one of the things I plan to do is check my blood glucose right now as I'm ending this fast, and also check on my ketone levels. Something that's been running, my glucose has been running between say 70s to the 90s, depending on what time of day and when I ate a meal, but nothing over 100. So my glucose is fairly well managed. And then my ketone levels, when I was checking before, were in the 0.5 to 0.3 range most every time I was checking. So I'm slipping in and out of light ketosis on a daily basis. But when you start to get your ketone levels into a higher level, around 1 to 1.5 or even 2, if you can get them bumped up there, you're going to start burning off that fat areas, those little areas where you might have a little problem like I do. I tend to keep it right here around my midsection all the time. And it also tends to shrink down other parts of the body too, like in the face. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I did. I know that I feel like I was smaller overall because my clothes and my jewelry fits less like it normally does. And I feel really good. I was actually able to do this fast on a weekend that I went to go see the Miami Dolphins, which is why I'm still wearing my shirt. We just got back to the stadium. We're in a hotel right now. So I just wanted to be able to break this fast after celebrating, hopefully a win. And today it was a win for the Dolphins. So that was great. If you're a Dolphins fan, if you're a Patriots fan, I'm sorry about that, guys. It's just the way the ball bounces. I think Tua's kind of got your team's number right now, but that may not stay that way forever. So, you know, things change. But anyway, I'm celebrating, and I want to go ahead and get this fast broken. So let's go ahead and take a look at my ketone levels. I'm going to go wash my hands real quick because I didn't bring my alcohol swabs in here. I've got those in the car. And what I am using is the Keto Mojo blood glucose monitor. And it comes with the blood glucose test strips and the ketone test strips. And it works with both. So you got 1 meter to do both. That's real convenient. I'll put a link for this in the description if you're interested in that. I'll also put a link for extra test strips, because if you're really trying to check into what you're doing as you're going down the carnivore way of eating, then you're going to want to have some backup strips, especially if you're testing at the beginning of your meal or before your meal, and then about 30 minutes in, and then an hour in or 2 hours in, to see how your body is handling glucose depletion. And that'll give you a little bit of a sense of your insulin resistance issues, especially if you're early on in a diet like this, where your body is probably still suffering from a lot of insulin resistance. All right, let me go wash my hands and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. Got my hands cleaned up. Let's go ahead and get these strips ready. I'll go ahead and tear these open. This is the hardest thing about this, is getting these test strips out of these little packets without messing them up. Or at least I'm worried about messing them up. I don't know that I actually am going to mess them up, but all right. Get my lancet ready. All right, I also turned off that noisy bathroom fan. Now there's a little less background noise, except for the cars blowing horns out here on US 1 in Deerfield Beach, Florida. This is where I grew up. So it's nice to be home. It's the first time I've been here in 33 years as far as staying in Deerfield Beach. Awesome. It's amazing how much it's changed in 33 years. And the last time I was here, I was visiting then too. I had actually left close to 40 years ago. Let's see, I was 10 years old. Yeah, right at 40 years ago was when I left here. All right, let's get this thing set. My fingers are a little thick, so I got to set mine on 5. If you have more calloused hands or tougher skin, and I also don't tend to bleed very easily, so I have to set it to 5 so that I can get the blood flowing. And I want to get this thing ready. All right, so we're going to test ketones first. All right, I got my little flashing light here that shows the blood's ready to go on. So now I'm ready to go ahead and do this thing. It's hard to get used to doing this. I really am not a big fan of making myself bleed on purpose. Ah, yeah, feels good. Feels good. All right, now we got some blood going. And that's gonna count down to 0, and then it's gonna show me my blood glucose level, or my ketone level. 3.1, boy. 72-hour fast works good on getting into deep ketosis. Man, oh man, I did not expect that. I figured maybe 1.5 to 2, 3.1. Gosh, that almost makes me not want to break my fast. I want to keep going now, but I'm ready to eat. I'll have to do a longer fast for a future video for you guys too, because my plan right now is to do these 72-hour fasts for 8 weeks. If I can, once a week, starting on Friday, and then doing my fast for 3 days, and see how we can do with really getting a shock into my system to work on getting that loose skin and that extra fat out that I wanted to get rid of, and also get my ketosis going, because I've already noticed it's helped me sleep better at night. Hey, baby.
Hey, you want me to grab something for you?
Yeah, please. The keys are right there.
Okay. Where are they? The ashtray, you said?
The ashtray, yeah, that's where I put the test strips. I got to get some more test strips.
Broncos whooped the crap out of, I can't think of it now, my mind just went blank.
They played somebody.
Kansas City.
Kansas City
They
Chiefs.
whooped the crap out of
Holy
them. I'm
mackerel,
down
they
here
got
watching-
tired of losing. That's
I'm watching
crazy.
the highlights right now. It's freaking crazy.
That is crazy.
I'll be right back, babe.
All right, so I'm real happy with that ketone level. That's fantastic. Now let's check out the blood sugar level. Get this ready first. Make sure you get your meter ready before you get going. And I got the blood symbol, so it's ready for me to do this again. Let's try a different finger this time. See, my finger's already stopped bleeding. I mean, I didn't get up but just for a second. And it had probably already stopped bleeding before I even got up. It just had a little drop of blood there. All right. All right, so let's check this blood sugar level. It's counting down right now. $55. At first I looked at it, I saw 22 because I'm looking at it in the camera in reverse. 55. That's good. That's a good fasting blood glucose level. I'm happy with that. All right. Now, for my favorite part. Now, the one thing about a 72-hour fast, it's really not that big a deal to go ahead and have a regular meal. You just don't want to eat a whole lot of sugar and a whole lot of fat after a fast because you're trying not to overload your system when you've just done all this work to get into good ketosis, to get your blood sugar down. And having too much at once can certainly spike your blood sugar levels and spike your insulin levels. And this is what we're trying to control. We're trying to get a grip on our metabolic system so that it does what we want it to do rather than letting it run amok and cause problems for us. You know, one of the nice things about doing a fast like this, and I do one a day fast, like one meal a day fast, and I'll do 24 hours and 36 hours on a fairly regular basis, at least once or twice a week. I usually eat 2 meals a day. I've been eating my meals later in the day because my biggest problem area for wanting to munch on something is just before bed. So I've tried to keep my meals closer to the end of the day, like around noon and 5, so that when it's time for bed, I'm not as tempted to eat just before bed. But I've been doing some research and finding out that there may be a benefit to having your first meal for breakfast and your second meal after breakfast. But I've also heard evidence to the contrary. So right now I'm sticking with what I've been doing. I'm eating a little later in the day to start to break this fast. And that's kind of my normal cycle. After this, after I have half of this bag, which is about 3.75 ounces, so less than 2 ounces of beef, in about 30 minutes, Katie and I are going to have a New York strip steak. And together, these two steaks are 1.71 pounds. So about 3/4 pound of steak. Not a whole lot of fat on New York strip steak, so it's not gonna really shouldn't have a tremendous effect on my blood glucose levels. It shouldn't have any effect really on insulin levels as far as fat goes. But this is just some of the stuff that I've looked into that some of the better minds out there than mine that are familiar with a lot of fasting have done. And I'm just sharing what little knowledge I've been able to glean from them with you. And I've broken fast this way before, so I find it to be an effective way to do it because I haven't had any bloating or stomach problems or real pains when I've taken a small meal before I have some kind of other meal. But there's other doctors out there like Dr. Boz, Dr. Annette Bosworth, who I met at KetoCon last year, and I'd love to be able to have her on the show sometime. She's a very smart person. But she goes into so much detail on this stuff, it's like I get lost in the numbers, man. Just tell me how to eat the thing, how to break this fast, because that's what I'm focused on, and that's what I'm doing for you now. I think one of the hardest things about doing a multi-day fast is just getting used to the idea of knowing what to do with yourself when you normally would eat, because it doesn't sound like much, but when you're used to taking the time to stop and eat, not eating makes you feel like kind of antsy, like you want to do something. But even if I was hungry, especially that first 24 hours, at the end of that first 24 hours, oh boy, did I want something to eat. As a matter of fact, I started this fast only having about a half a bag of these Carnivore crisps because I was going to start in the morning. but I couldn't make it through the first 12 hours because I just had to have that late night snack. But then after that, I was able to go the full 3 days, and it's been great. One thing I do try to do even more so when I'm fasting, breaking a fast that is to make sure that I chew even more than I normally would. Sometimes I'll swallow these before I've chewed them enough. I want to get them good and masticated so that it's going to be easier on my digestion system to kick back into gear without having to process something that hasn't been chewed properly. So I'm about halfway through the bag now. I'm going to go ahead and finish this last piece, and then I'm going to take a break for a minute. Katie has gone down to watch some football that's going on down at the little bar down in the hotel here. And then I'm gonna call her up and we're gonna have some steak in about 30 minutes. And I'm gonna check my blood glucose again just before I eat steak. And then I'm gonna check it again about 30 minutes after, and my ketone levels, and see how all this affects everything. Red mint salt. All right, so it's been right at 30 minutes. I've got my steak ready to go here, but I want to see where my blood sugar is after having just checked it 30 minutes ago and eating those 2 ounces of Carnivore crisps, and see what the change looks like. Ketones. Guess we'll do them in the same order. Start with the ketones and then go with the blood sugar. My ketones were 3.1. 1.5 would have been amazing. 3.1 is shocking. My ketosis level, man, fasting, wow. It's the roughest part of this. I just have a hard time with this pricking of the finger thing, but I'm getting there. Is it ready? Yeah, it's ready. All right, come on, give me some blood. Perfect. Oh, I was worried it wasn't going to be enough. I swear it stops bleeding so quick. Ketosis is still at 2.5. That's excellent. I'm happy with that. And I don't know that you need to check as much as I'm checking. I am just trying to really get a feel for how breaking a fast affects blood glucose levels, blood ketone levels, and just keep an eye on things a little bit closer for a little while so I can have a better understanding of what's going on inside my body, not just seeing the benefits on the outside, but enjoying the benefits that come from this way of eating, and knowing a little bit more about it, I certainly think can be helpful. All right, let's switch fingers. We got a drop ready here. Is that the same finger I just did? I think that is the same finger. Let me go to this finger. All right. Perfect. Blood glucose is at 66, so not a tremendous jump. I'm happy with that. I don't know what it's beeping at me for. Hypo, oh, I'm hypoglycemic. No, there's nothing wrong with the 66 blood sugar, especially when you've been eating only meat or on a fasting period like I've been on. Nothing wrong with that at all. That's actually preferred. So I'm happy. So I'm gonna eat this steak, and then I'll check again about a half hour. I'm gonna go an hour after I eat this. Katie's knife. And I'll see you then. Let me see if I can do that.
Oh, you can make it tighter, but you can't make it skinnier. So don't, whatever you do, if you get it off, don't push it up. Awesome.
Only when your clients make more money? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get back up to you quick.
All right, back again. It's been 1 hour since I had the steak, hour and a half since I had the Carnivore crisps. I gotta get some sleep and a shower. I hate going to bed so soon after eating, but what am I gonna do? Sometimes it works out that way. I'm really glad about one thing. Seeing myself get into deep ketosis like that, that was encouraging, because I haven't had a good, even back when I did Atkins diet, every time I ever checked with keto sticks, I was always in trace or low or whatever the next step up above trace was on a keto stick. And I never really got into heavy ketosis. So to see me hit a 3.0 or 3.1 on the keto meter, I like that. That motivates me to want to do more fasts right there, just seeing that. Blood. All right, let's see how the ketones are doing after an hour, hour and a half. .6. Still, I would have been happy with that to start with. So that's extremely motivating to me, just to see the ketones staying that high after the fast, just being able to hit those high numbers, very encouraging. So just having this so far is going to encourage me to try to stay consistent with 3 days a week as much as I possibly can, because that's fantastic. And I could have gone longer. I really could have. I set my plan for 3 days, so I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to stick with it as long as I possibly can and see how that works out. All right, we're ready with the glucose stick. Let's see, it's already stopped bleeding. Try a different finger this time. $90, about what I expected after a meal. You know, that's what I was hitting before the diet, before the fast. So I would expect my glucose levels to go up a little bit after an hour. And hopefully we'll check again and see if they're coming back down in an hour. That would be really nice. But no matter what, I'm very motivated by what I've seen here so far. I just don't know if I can take another hour before I'm ready to hit the hay. I've been very happy to see what I've been able to determine from doing this fast, from having this keto mojo. Just seeing those numbers, it's like looking at the scale and seeing the scale go down. You get excited when you see that happen. And when you look at the scale and you see the numbers go up, that's when you can get really demotivated. And that's one of the things I always tell people. Stop looking at the scale. The scale can be very misleading because your weight can fluctuate in areas with water, with what you've eaten, with how you're retaining water, salt levels. And of course, if you're adding muscle and losing fat, you can very quickly see the weight go up a little bit because, you know, muscle by itself is heavier than fat. So if you add the same amount physically of muscle, it's going to weigh more than the same amount physically of fat. And that's going to throw you off when you're looking at that scale and make you think you're not making progress, especially after 2 or 3 days of that, which is very easy to see. And you don't want to discourage yourself. So I always tell folks who are looking at the scale and looking for their weight to come down, don't even check it once a week. Check it once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks. But you've got to give it enough time for your body to make those adjustments, and then you'll definitely see that progress. And keep in mind, you're gonna hit plateaus when you're looking at your weight loss. Also, checking your measurements would be a much better scale for seeing your progress than checking the scale of what's on the weight on the scale itself, than checking the numbers on the scale itself. Because the weight doesn't necessarily mean you haven't lost fat. But if you've lost inches, you've definitely lost fat. All right, guys, I'm back for the 2-hour check. You know, I didn't even notice that I had gotten steak juice, some glycogen, on my shirt. That's why I never wear white shirts. I bought white today at the game because I wanted to wear white since the whole team was wearing white and I didn't have a Tyreek Hill shirt. But Katie does magic. Look at that. Without even having a washing machine available, she got that stain out of there. I would have never got that out. It would have still been there when I was done. That's why I wear so much black. I always get a little bit of something on my shirt when I eat steaks, especially if I sit back when I'm trying to eat. Thank God for good wives who know how to get stains out. All right, 2-hour blood glucose and ketone check, and then I'm hitting the hay. It was a nice game today, though. A lot of fun we had out there. A lot of walking, a lot of exercise. I really was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be able to get through this fast without any problems. Like maybe I might feel weak being out there in all that hot sun, but it was a nice cool day, so it was good. But we had a lot of fun. What else did we do? Let's see, we met Terry Kirby and Troy Drayton before the game, which were two players I was very familiar with from back in Marino's day. And that was cool because they were just sitting out front, you know, letting you meet some of the players that had played in the past, the alumni players. After the game, I saw Robbie Chosen, but I didn't get a chance to get his autograph. I guess I should have spoke up a little louder. But we had a great time watching the game. I only bought water one time. I was surprised I didn't need more water. Usually it's so hot out there, but it was a nice cool day today, a lot of overcast. I did get a little bit of sun, but I got my relight in today. That was good. Gave me a little bit of energy to get through the rest of the day. All right, let's see what this, oh wait, I gotta get these blood strips ready. That's the thing is I always forget. I don't always forget, but I've forgotten it a couple of times. I've already got blood coming out and I don't have anything to put it on. Let's see, we'll check the blood glucose first this time. We'll check the blood glucose first this time since that's the one I happen to pull out first. Okay. Oh, come on, bleed a little bit. There we go. $96. Still a little bit high. Figured that would have come down some by now. And we'll take a look at the ketone levels. But no matter what, I was just so happy to see that I could get into such deep ketosis like that. That's the big motivating factor here. But I am surprised that I haven't been able to get my blood sugar back down after 2 hours. Do the pinky. .6. So, yep, I lose my ketosis. Well, it's not. I'm still in ketosis. Anything over 0.5 is still ketosis. So I'm happy with that. Lost the big numbers since the fast, but I'm happy with the overall result. Just being able to see what fasting can do has been a big boost for me. And really, my blood numbers, my blood sugar numbers aren't any different than what I was doing before I was fasting as far as their level after I eat. I'm not breaking 100. I'm not breaking 100 in the morning. So my blood sugar numbers are not really a concern. But I would like to see them coming down this far after eating. Maybe I'm just slow at getting that out of there. Maybe my body still has some insulin resistance in it that causes the insulin not to be able to get the blood sugar out as fast. But the fasting was definitely a bonus. Definitely a bonus. On top of a good day. Good day for my team. Good day for my fantasy team. It's just been a good day. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention. Keto fasting, what is it? Keto Chow's fasting drops. I don't know if they actually do a whole lot when it comes to fasting, but having them certainly gave me, at best, a placebo effect. because whenever I would put the fasting drops in my water, which I did for the entire 3 days, I would use the fasting drops in my water and in my club soda, and it just seemed to really make it easier to not think about food whenever I had to do that. So again, it's tough with these it's tough with these supplements sometimes to know exactly what's happening with them, if they're actually doing anything. But I will say they certainly gave me a mental boost when it came to getting through this fast. So I like the Keto Chow fasting drops.
All right, Katie's still asleep, but I just woke up and I wanted to get my waking blood glucose numbers too. So I'm gonna go ahead and check just the glucose. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a little high because it's the morning and my ketones will be low. And I've got one less ketone strip than I have. Got this phone resting on the hair dryer in the bathroom. But I've got one less ketone strip than I do blood glucose strips. So I'm just gonna check the glucose this morning. I literally just rolled out of bed and put on a shirt. Shouldn't be playing with sharp objects this early. All right, let's do this. Don't fall now, phone. Hey. 75 is a lot better than I thought it would be. That's a good morning number. Maybe I will check the ketones. Come on, get enough. Oh, finally. I didn't think it was gonna work. What a pleasant surprise. 1.1. All right. Well, if anything, that just confirms what I thought. Fasting is going to help with those blood sugar numbers and ketone numbers. Only way to know for sure is to keep testing. So we'll try again, and I'll keep an eye on my numbers all week and keep reporting back to you guys. I've had some people comment that they didn't feel like fasting really did much of anything for them, and I gotta tell you, I have the total opposite opinion. Fasting has been wonderful. It's sometimes difficult, but hey, saves money too. Well, as long as you're not spending a lot of money on test strips and stuff, but even still, the cost of all those test strips and this machine is less than what I'm gonna spend in a couple of fasts. And I mean, is more than what I'm gonna save doing a couple of fasts. So it's just a win-win all the way around. All right, guys, that's all for this one. See you later. Oh yeah, I need my phone.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?